If you're new to this story, The Final Stand, check out the playlist in the description and start from part 1. Enjoy! As the frozen tableau of the outer space skirmish began to stir with a lethal slow-motion ballet, Liam realized the sheer enormity of their situation. The alien armada was inching forward, unfurling itself from the grip of the time dilation field. The threat, a moment ago silenced by his manipulation of time, was now reanimating itself into the cold vacuum of space. Heart pounding with an urgency that echoed in his ears, Liam turned his attention to Davidson, whose 302, now armed with the nuke, was an isolated spot of movement against the static field of stars and alien ships. The seasoned pilot was giving it his all, pushing the fighter jet to its limits, but even then it was clear they were running out of time. The mothership loomed large in the distance, but even at the 302's maximum speed, Davidson wouldn't make it in time. Liam's gaze shifted back to the artifact. Its glow seemed almost mocking in the face of their imminent failure. His father's words echoed in his mind, the acknowledgement of the alien artifact's power and their inability to harness it. A spark of an idea ignited in Liam's mind, its luminescence pushing back against the impending doom. He could control the artifact. He could control time. Could he not only freeze or unfreeze time, but manipulate it as well? The science was theoretically possible. The same way a gravity well around a massive object could bend time, he could create a time well around the 302, dilating time within its immediate field. He'd not only make the 302 move in the frozen reality, but move faster, covering more distance in less time. With newfound determination, he focused on the artifact, letting his mind meld with the complex patterns engraved into its surface. He visualized the 302, imagined the time bubble enveloping it, and then squeezed, compressing the time within. The room around him began to distort as he poured his concentration into the task. His perception of the world dimmed, his senses becoming numb, with only the glowing lines of the artifact occupying his vision. He could hear his own heartbeat, the rhythm increasing in pace as he strained against the artifact's resistance. Outside, Davidson's 302 began to glow with an otherworldly aura, its trajectory altering, curving toward the immense mothership. The 302's speed increased exponentially, becoming a shining comet burning through the space battlefield. Davidson's surprised exclamation crackled over the comms.
"Command, something's happening. I'm accelerating."
On the command station, Ortega watched in awe as Davidson's 302 became a streak of light arcing towards the alien mothership. A small smile of hope tugged at her lips, her faith in their chances of survival flickering back to life. The air in the command center seemed to crackle with a newfound energy as the crew watched, their breaths held in anticipation, their eyes glued to the tiny blip on their screens representing Davidson's 302. Ortega's eyes darted back to the central monitor, and her heart thumped against her ribs as she noticed the enemy vessels creeping forward, breaking free of their suspended animation. The time dilation field was weakening, and they were coming back to life. "Davidson, hurry!" she urged into the comms, her voice crackling with intensity. "The field is breaking down!" Back in the tech room, Liam was at the edge of consciousness, the mental strain of manipulating the artifact taking its toll. Beads of sweat trickled down his forehead, his hands trembling as he pushed the artifact further, sustaining the time dilation effect around the 302. The soft glow from the artifact was now a blinding radiance that filled the room.
"Command, I'm nearing the mothership."
Davidson's voice rang out over the comms, a mixture of apprehension and determination coloring his words. Despite the potential danger, his voice held an unshakable resolve, ready to see the mission through to its conclusion. As Liam released his control on the artifact, he slumped down onto the floor, exhausted. He managed a weak smile, a glimmer of triumph shining in his eyes. "You can do it, Davidson," he whispered, sending all his faith and hope barreling towards the brave pilot, towards the final frontier of their survival. As the world around him grew fuzzy, one thought anchored him to the reality of their situation. They had made it in time. They had a fighting chance. A newfound sense of hope surged through Ortega, an electric tingle that seemed to echo the energy radiating from the artifact. Her heart pounded with adrenaline as she watched the 302 streaking through the space, a solitary warrior charging towards the behemoth mothership. The palpable tension hung in the air of the command station like an electric charge before a thunderstorm. "Davidson, you're clear for approach. Do you have visual on the target?" she asked, her voice tight, vibrating with the gravity of the situation.
Copy that, Commander. I see it.
Came Davidson's steady response. He sounded focused, all earlier apprehension replaced with a hardened resolve.
Entering the alien mothership's field. Stand by.
In the tech room, Liam, barely clinging to consciousness, felt a warm hand on his shoulder. He blinked his eyes open to see Wren's worried face. The older man had left the nuclear preparation process to Ortega once he saw Liam's condition. "Liam, son, you need to stay with us," Wren urged, his usually stern features softened with concern. Pushing past the dizziness, Liam managed a weak nod. "Don't worry, Wren," he rasped out. "I'm not going anywhere." He tried to push himself to a sitting position, groaning as the room spun around him. Wren lent a supportive arm, helping him lean against the wall. In the void of space, Davidson's 302, engulfed in a radiant aura, entered the alien mothership's gravitational field. A colossal structure, the mothership dwarfed the 302, its foreboding silhouette a reminder of the gargantuan task that lay ahead. Davidson flew his 302 in a spiraling pattern, getting closer to the massive structure with each passing second. "Almost there," he muttered to himself, his gaze trained on the large opening that loomed ahead. It was a suicide mission, but if it meant saving humanity, he was ready to pay the price. Back in the tech room, Liam was now more alert. His pulse still raced, matching the anxious rhythm of the countdown towards the crucial moment. His gaze was fixated on the monitor displaying Davidson's progress. His breath hitched as the 302 neared the entrance of the mothership, the small craft dwarfed by the enormous alien structure. He could hear Davidson's steady breaths over the comms, the pilot's calm voice a stark contrast to the tense anticipation that held everyone captive.
Davidson to command. I'm at the target location. Arming the payload,
Davidson reported, his voice firm. And then, after a pause, he added,
"It's been an honor serving with you all."
The solemnity of his words hung heavy in the air. The gravity of the moment was upon them. They were on the precipice of something monumental, either their most significant victory or the onset of their end. Their future hinged on the impending climax, the tension escalating to an almost unbearable level. Everyone held their breath, waiting for the moment that would decide their fate. The eerie silence that hung over the command station was punctuated only by the soft humming of the systems and the echo of Davidson's words. The words seemed to reverberate in the hearts of everyone present, an indelible mark of their shared struggle. The weight of the moment was colossal, bearing down on them like the crushing pressure of the deep sea. "Godspeed, Davidson," Ortega managed to say, her voice choked with emotion. Her gaze remained fixed on the monitor, the image of the 302 about to infiltrate the alien mothership branded into her retinas. In the tech room, Liam's hand instinctively curled around the artifact, the object humming softly in resonance with his heightened emotions. His heart pounded heavily in his chest, every thump resonating with the beats of the ticking countdown. He had done everything he could. Davidson's fate was no longer in his hands. "Ortega to Davidson, you're cleared to engage," Ortega said, her voice barely more than a whisper, her throat dry and her lips parched. With those words, Davidson maneuvered the 302 towards the alien mothership, a direct course towards the pulsating core. The ship was a minuscule speck against the backdrop of the alien behemoth. Davidson braced himself for the impact, his gloved hands gripping the controls tightly, his eyes reflecting the alien glow that engulfed the cockpit. A strange calm washed over Davidson as he breached the mothership's outer shell, his focus narrowing onto the pulsating core. His breaths were measured, the rhythmic inhalations and exhalations grounding him in the present moment. He could see it now, the alien core, a grotesque pulsating mass of extraterrestrial technology. "Payload is away," he announced, pushing the button to release the nuclear warhead. In the command station, Ortega's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the screen, showing the 302 making its desperate escape from the mothership. The seconds seemed to stretch into an agonizing eternity as they waited for the nuclear detonation. Then, with a blinding flash of light, the mothership erupted from within. A shockwave of energy burst outwards, illuminating the dark expanse of space with a cataclysmic explosion. A ripple of energy surged through the battlefield, sending alien drones spiraling out of control, their connection to the mothership severed. Ortega let out a breath she didn't realize she was holding. "It worked," she whispered, disbelief tinging her voice. Her heart swelled with a rush of euphoria, relief, and grief, a torrent of emotions that left her momentarily breathless. In the tech room, Liam could only stare at the monitor in awe. They had done it. They had stopped the alien invasion. But the victory was not without its cost. Davidson's 302 was nowhere to be seen, and his heart sank at the realization. His father's voice came through the comms, choked with emotion.
"You did it, son! You've saved us all!"
Tears welled up in Liam's eyes, blurring his vision. "We did it, Dad! We did it!" As relief washed over them, there was a shared sense of triumph, but it was tempered by the sacrifice they had witnessed. Their victory was hard-fought and dearly won. It was a moment of profound realization, a reaffirmation of their resilience and their ability to face impossible odds. The command station was awash with a mix of joy, sorrow, and relief, a testament to their shared struggle and the sacrifices made. In the face of an alien threat, they had stood their ground and emerged victorious. The fight was over, at least for now. They had earned a respite, but the cost of their victory would not be forgotten. In the quiet aftermath of their victory, the space surrounding the command station bore the scars of their desperate battle. The remnants of alien drones floated aimlessly, rendered useless by the destruction of their mothership. The once looming threat was now a distant memory, a surreal dream that had briefly morphed into a chilling reality. Back at the station, a somber mood had taken hold. The weight of their victory, tinged with the sacrifice they had witnessed, hung heavily in the air. Davidson's bravery and sacrifice had been instrumental in their triumph, a fact that was not lost on anyone. His heroism would forever be etched in their hearts, his name whispered with reverence and respect. The artifact, now lying dormant, was carefully secured by Wren and Ortega, its potential for good and destruction still an enigma. The alien technology that had threatened to bring about the end had also been their salvation. It had been an unlikely ally in their desperate struggle, a reminder of the paradoxes that often marked their existence. In the tech room, Liam stared out into the expanse of space, his mind filled with a whirlwind of emotions. A profound sense of relief washed over him, mingled with a lingering sorrow for Davidson's loss. He had stepped into his father's footsteps, becoming the unexpected hero of a battle they had barely understood. He was no longer the unsure young man who had first set foot in the command center. He had grown, hardened by the trials he had faced. His father's voice came over the comms, breaking him out of his reverie.
"Son, we have a lot to discuss. There's a world out there that needs to understand what we faced here."
Liam nodded, turning his gaze from the stars to the artifact. "I know, Dad. We'll tell our story, for Davidson, for us, and for everyone who needs to know the truth." As the command station embarked on its journey back to Earth, the battle-weary crew began to settle into the quiet calm that followed the storm. Their journey had been marked by trials and triumphs, proof of human resilience and the power of unity in the face of adversity. The saga of their struggle would serve as a beacon of hope, a reminder of what humanity was capable of when pushed to its limits. But for now, they would rest, heal, and prepare for the next challenge, always vigilant, always ready. For in the vast expanse of the universe, they knew that this victory was but a single battle in an ongoing war for survival. If you've enjoyed this story, let me know in the comments and subscribe for the next one.